So, yes, the podcast is one of the things that helps me grow personally. How about you?
I knew it was coming back.
Oh, sure.
Basically, Daniel, I make sure that I check in with myself constantly. So through my clients help me grow because we're faced with challenges, decisions at the board level that change livelihoods of all the families and all the businesses. It's not just the business, right? It's all the employees and the livelihoods, the suppliers and everyone. There is a whole different levels of stakeholders to a business that obviously a decision that you take at that level might have so many ramifications on all the different stakeholders. So definitely those challenges help me grow quite a lot, because we make sure we future-proof it as much as possible. We make sure that we are responsible, obviously, together with a group of people at a governance level to ensure that we are moving according to good governance. And what we believe that it would be the best for the company, its shareholders, and its stakeholders, including the employees, obviously. So those moments, even though they're very, very difficult and challenging, they help me to grow, because obviously you go through them with an open eye and make sure that you evaluate everything, and you don't know everything. So I have to go back to the drawing board sometimes, because we decide to postpone the decision for later, depending on how important the decision is for that organization. So I make sure, to go back to your question, that I choose those clients that will challenge my own growth, inevitably.
Okay. How would you know?
Because for example, I fit more with companies that are going through growth trajectories, that I know that are shifting from point A to point B, for example, from a revenue structure, or that they are investing into new capital projects. And again, they would be linked with my own values, that they're doing something good as well for society. Nowadays, I give a lot of importance to that as well. So I make sure that I choose the right clients. Less is more in my mind. That is the mantra I move by. And that I constantly look, I still look, but not in a restless manner nowadays, because I know what's good enough. I know what's good enough in terms of growth, as I wouldn't want it to be toxic. I look for opportunities either to study, to network with different cultures, with different companies across borders, because that is how I find that I can expand my growth mindset. And this is why I'm working with companies outside of Malta as well. I find that experience very nourishing and very, very challenging in its own way, because you need to be... In each and different country that you work in, there are cultures that need to be respected. There are people, there are laws, there are regulations, there are also things which are not usually written. You don't really read these things on books. However, you have to learn by doing. So it takes me back on experiencing the world first-hand basis, so to speak. And over there, this is how I go through my growth process. I don't know if I have answered your question.
I think so, and you made me actually you made me realize of how can I respond to your question better in a way. And this is actually a concept that I verbalized when I was around 17 years old. I still remember this because something particular happened at that point in time. And I verbalized it without realizing the concept of it. And at that point in time, I was called as not being authentic in my approach. And I couldn't understand the person in me telling me that I was not being authentic, but at the same time, I knew that I was being authentic. So, and this is the story, anyway. So, I was also, I'm always very fond of meeting new people and seeing myself with new people. And this is one of the drivers of the podcast as well, coming to think about, because I'm seeing myself interacting with you, Nadia, today, something that never happened before until today. So I'm rediscovering myself, a version of myself interacting with you. So it's like growing fraction by fraction with each individual that you interact with. And at that point in time, I was able to verbalize it, but I wasn't able to make sense out of it because I was still to.
And now the penny dropped, Daniel.
Yes. It did. So, so thank you for giving me the opportunity to remember this
You're
concept.
more than welcome on that.
Nadia, it's been a pleasure hosting you. You've been a great guest. You've asked me some interesting questions today.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I really hope that whoever is listening to this podcast will equally enjoy this conversation as much as we did.
I'm sure.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.